The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and afternoon, everybody. This is Jason Murphy, and welcome to the High Visibility Heat Printing, Fashionable and Functional Reflective Designs. And today on the panel you have myself. I'm the current National Sales Manager for Group Stahl Sales Alliance. I've got over 15 years apparel decoration experience, technical expert, and a previous business owner, so I have a lot of aspects from different areas of the business. And also today on the call we're going to have Margaret Coleman. She's a U.S. National Sales and Canadian Transnational Sales Manager for 3M. She's got over 14 years of experience with 3M, providing reflective solutions to your government, your military agencies, consumer apparel specifier. She's got a lot of very, very unique experience that's going to help us out today as decorators. I also wanted to give a thank you to Howard Tolliver. He's a channel marketer for 3M. 28 years of experience, technical and marketing, and he was very key in putting together this presentation for us today. So today what we're going to learn is we're going to be going over visibility technologies, the difference between reflective and retroreflective materials, rules and regulations, and who sets the standards. Now this is going to be the technical part of what we're going to hear today, and there's a lot of technical information, but you as decorators, this is going to be very valuable for you to know as we start moving forward with this and you start getting into any kind of government or ANSIISEA certified or OSHA certified kind of apparel. These are the things that you will need to know. 3M Scotch-Rite Reflective, what sets the material apart from everybody else. Reflective uses, more than just safety, and pricing and selling strategies. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Margaret. And again, Margaret, she's got over 14 years experience in this industry. She's going to be great for us. And Margaret, thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Jason. And I'm really excited to be a part of the seminar today and to talk about enhanced visibility. So one of the first areas that, and on the slide here, is when we're talking about enhanced visibility technologies, there are two different types of visibility technologies relevant to the discussion that we're having today. The first is fluorescent, and fluorescent is what gives you the pop of color during the day when you see the colors that just kind of stand out. And what it does is it provides good daytime and dawn and dusk visibility. Now the thing about fluorescent is that it has no nighttime properties. The other technology that we're going to talk about is reflective technologies. And reflective technologies require a light source. And reflective technology has dusk, dawn, and nighttime benefits. So what we're showing here is just the visible light color spectrum. And this portion of the, basically what it's showing is a section of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum. And this is basically what's visible to the eye. And this is important because the wavelengths that are shown here impact the way we see color. So looking at it from a different perspective, and it's like, how does fluorescence work when you think about that spectrum that we just saw? Ordinary materials reflect protons in a certain narrow range of wavelengths and absorb all the other protons. So basically what happens is that the colors get absorbed. You still see the color, but they just don't stand out against the environment as you do with more fluorescent colors. With fluorescent materials actually reflect protons in a narrow range of wavelengths. They absorb the short wavelength protons, and what's different about what happens here is that it re-emits them at longer wavelength. So more light energy comes off the surface, and then we can see, it's more than we can see that's going into it. So another thing that tends to get a little bit confusing when you're talking about retroreflectivity and reflective materials, and kind of, what's the difference between the two? So when you're looking at the difference between the two, you should note that, number one, all surfaces are reflective, and that's why we were able to see the various surfaces, and that's kind of when you look at anything, they're going to reflect some light. Reflectivity is the ability of the material to bounce off light in a surface so it can be seen. And then there are a few different types of reflectivity. One is diffuse, mirror, and retroreflection. High visibility clothing is either going to be reflective, retroreflective, or a combination of both. And clothing that is typically made from materials that come from high-tech polymers and breathable reinforced fibers, colored to distinguish the garment from its surroundings. So if you think back to the visible light spectrum chart that we looked at earlier, the short protons are absorbed and they're re-emitted at long wavelengths, and they're providing more light energy that can be seen. So if the colors of the garments are reflective to make sure the person is seen in direct sunlight situation, and that's kind of what you would say more fluorescent. Then to make them even more visible at night, a strip of reflective material is applied, and that's for low light situations. And those reflective strips can be made of either microprismatic or glass bead technology. So earlier we talked about the different types of reflectivity, and just kind of getting back to that, diffuse light is it's the most common type of reflectivity that we have, and it occurs when light strikes a rough surface. So that could be pavement, foliage, clothing, vehicles. If you think about stucco on the side of a house, these surfaces cause the light to scatter in all directions. So the light hits it, the light scatters, but it allows the scattered light to be seen by our eyes. The second type of reflectivity that we're going to talk about is mirror reflection. And this occurs when light strikes surfaces that are smooth or glossy. So you think about it, it doesn't have to just be a mirror. It could also be something like a really shiny car. But basically the light reflects off the surfaces at an equal but opposite angle to the source. The light that bounces off the mirror reflection may or not be seen by eyes, and it depends on the angle. And then the third type of reflection is called retroreflection. And retroreflection occurs when light bounces off of a surface that is designed to return light in the direction of the source. So if a person is looking at a retroreflective material and they are positioned near the light source, this retroreflective light it can be seen by our eyes. So think about this. Think about the example if you're a driver and you're sitting in a vehicle. You're sitting behind the light source, which would be the headlights. This is what allows you, if a person has a retroreflective material on their garment, it allows you to be able to see that person in that garment if they're in that beam of light. So one of the components of retroreflection is the fact that a reflector has to be added. And so a retroreflector is actually a device that reflects light back to the source with the minimum scattering of light. An electromagnetic wavefront is reflected back along a vector that is parallel to but opposite in direction of the wave source. The device or the surface's angle of incidence is greater than 0. So basically, one way to demonstrate that, because that was a mouthful and it was really, really technical. So if you just want to look at how retroreflectivity works, look at the example below, look at the picture. And basically, you think about you have the driver in the car, you have the headlights. The headlights project a beam of light to the person. That beam of light is considered the light source. The light bounces back off of the person and comes back to the light source in actually a greater angle. So one of the things that is definitely influencing retroreflectivity and where it's used, especially in the workplace, there's various rules and regulations. And one of the areas, or one of the groups that has become very instrumental in defining who should use high visibility apparel in their work is the Federal Highway Administration. And in the Federal Highway Administration is the 2009 Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And basically what this says is that anyone working on or near vehicular traffic, and that can include excavations, workers in high construction zones, either people that are on the side of the highway and that are exposed to traffic, including law enforcement and first responders, The flaggers, and I'm sure you've noticed flaggers that are designed to get your attention as people that have fluorescent flags. Crossing guards, all of these folks are required to wear an ANSI 107 2004, revised in 2010, a garment, class 2 or 3, or an ANSI 207 2006 for law enforcement, or NFPA turnout, such as NFPA 1971 for first responders. These are all required to wear an ANSI class 2 or class 3 garment. So we like to say that there's proven technology, and the retroreflective technology that's used in 3M Scotchlite reflective material can actually achieve some of the requirements of the standards. And what it does is that it helps the eye detect objects in low light conditions. It can be used to provide 360-degree visibility in real life working conditions by outlining the human form and highlighting movement. For over 70 years, 3M has been a leader in the development of retroreflective technology, and our products meet high visibility retroreflective performance standards such as ANSI ISEA 107, CSA Z96, which is a Canadian standard, and the European EN 471. And this even these products still meet the high requirements after frequent home washings. So what sets Scotchlite reflective material apart? And I like to say, we like to say why 3M and what makes us different. The bottom line is that it's easy to use, it's ready to use right off the roll, and one particular product that I'm thinking about will be a platter cuttable product. You can use this, it's easy to apply with no pre-mask, it's extremely easy to cut and weed, it has a clear liner that allows for easy positioning, and the clear liner has a light tack to it that again aids that positioning. It's a simple one-step heat application, and it's superior performance, and it allows design flexibility. So where can you use Scotchlite reflective material? On the bus, on the run, on the job, and even while having fun. So when you think about on the bus and you're thinking fashion forward, some of the images that you see here actually show reflective material that is customized a book bag or a backpack. You can also use reflective material to embellish things like children's rainwear, children's clothing such as t-shirts. Really makes them stand out when they're either walking to school in low light conditions or waiting at the bus. And especially this comes into play a lot when you're getting into the fall time of year, where it gets dark earlier, and then also when the children are going to school and it's still kind of dark earlier in the morning. Reflective material is also used on the run, and reflective material has become very popular because we're finding that runners recognize the need to be seen. When you're looking at design protocols and you're bringing science to customers, it's really important that you look at, again, like I said, these people have recognized that there is a need for them to be seen, and you're looking at, there's some things you should take into consideration, and looking at materials that meet 360 enhanced visibility guidelines. Remember to follow the human form, and what that means is that you're adding reflective on the moving parts of the body, which would be the arms, the legs, the knees, the movement locations. And a little bit more, we're talking about reflective on the run. 3M has actually introduced a marketing program which is called 360-degree enhanced visibility. And what it does is that in using the right amount of reflective materials, we actually provide a hang tag which helps with marketing the product for you and for marketing it to your customers. And what it calls for is it sets guidelines for to set visibility from all angles, from the front, the back, and the side. It sets reflective material minimums, and basically what it calls for is the use of a 15.5 square inch minimum for per view, so that'll be side, front, back for garments, using at minimum 3/4 inch material and 70 square total inches at a minimum on the total garment. We also call out or spell out that the brightness of the reflective material should be less than 330 R sub A. And actually that also aligns with some of the high visibility safety standards that there's a table in the ANSI standard that's considered the 330 table. So we really try to align this, we try to bring the science to this program. One other really important component of when you're doing reflective on the run and when you're designing garments that meet this protocol is to make sure that you're also using reflective fluorescent materials. It only enhances better enhances the runner during the daytime, where the retroreflective material enhances the runner during night conditions or low light conditions. Not only are people using reflective when they're, when they're in the consumer world, but we also find that on the job, emergency medical technicians are starting to use more reflective materials. And what they're doing is that these garments that are here wouldn't actually meet the ANSI 107 2004 or 2010 standard, but what's adopted here and what we're finding adopted by many in the industry is that they're actually using the amount of reflective material that's recommended for enhanced visibility garments, but these don't have fluorescent backgrounds. So these items would not meet the standard, but for night it's an excellent way to first off identify the worker in the work zone. The EMT logo that you see there would be easily seen at night. And it also puts reflective material on the movement areas such as the arm and around the body to better outline the human form. Another on-the-job area that is very important and where retroreflective materials have been used for some time, one of the products that 3M has is 3M Scotch-Lite Reflective Material Fire Coat Trim. And you can see the fire coat trim here that's it's shown on the firefighter. It's a product that has a daytime component, which is the fluorescent, as you see there. It incorporates a silver stripe for low light conditions, and that could be, at night. That could be the dusk or dawn again, and it could also be when the firefighter is in a fire. There's usually a lack of a light source in there, and that has to be brought into the conditions. So fire coat trim meets NFPA 1971 2000 edition requirements for flame resistance and convective heat performance, but it also meets the laundering recommendations described in the new NFPA 1851 Selection, Care, and Maintenance Guide. Yeah, as I said, it's a product that's been used in the fire industry for some time. One of the other areas that has received some recent popularity is the utility market. And the ANSI 107 2010 standard recognizes the need for utility workers to be included for high visibility, in the high visibility clothing categories. And a couple of things that you have to take into consideration when you're recommending reflective materials or you're recommending products that will meet ANSI 107 is that you should really consider the flame resistance requirements of utility workers as well as the high visibility requirements. With the utilities, and you'll find too that some utilities are not using flame resistant, but the trend is now heading more toward an FR total solution for that worker. Another area is road construction, and we've kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., 25% of all fatal vehicle worker accidents occur. Although only less than 9% of the total workforce is working during those hours. So basically, what this means that crews working during those low light hours, and this is, again, from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., it means that those crews are 3 times more likely to be struck by a motor vehicle than their daytime counterparts. Something else that's interesting to know is that prior to the introduction of high visibility standards, orange safety vests were typically the norm. And if you think back to, I mean, if you go back before 1999, which was the first introduction of the ANSI standard, most safety vests were orange, but then also, cones and barricades. And I'm from Southern California, and back then the Caltrans trucks were orange. So the orange vest that most of the workers wore really allowed them to blend into to the environment. I mean, they were part of that scene. Everything was orange, and high visibility apparel that's both reflective and fluorescent per the newer standards goes a long way to making construction workers more visible and makes them stand out in the work zone. Next page. One of the other areas that's covered by standards is law enforcement. And in fact, for law enforcement, there's a standard that's created just for them. But going back to that 2009 Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which has kind of been the agency that has, or the device that has made high visibility apparel, it's taken it from the level of being optional to making it more mandatory. And so what it does, it calls for law enforcement, it calls for the use of ANSI 107, 2004, or revised 2010 safety vests when uniformed law enforcement personnel are used to direct traffic, to investigate crashes, or to handle lane closures, obstructed roadways, disasters, just basically any time that they are on the highway and they're doing things that expose them to vehicular traffic. They are being required, and what it says is shall be, and that's the really important part of any of the standards, as opposed to might be. Shall be means that they will have to wear this when they're doing that particular function. Now, one of the things I mentioned that they had a standard that was created especially for them, and that's the ANSI 207 standard, and that is for it's a public safety vest standard. And that is also allowed in addition to ANSI 107 for public safety officers, which would include law enforcement, that would include firefighters as well. One thing that we also know that we've seen for a while, and yet the trend continues to grow, is that there is an opportunity for providing reflective materials to outfit various workers that may not want to wear ANSI garments, and so that would be for folks such as parking lot attendants, delivery persons such as package delivery and food delivery individuals. And then I think Jason's going to talk a little bit more about how to use reflective material when having fun.
Jason, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
There we go. Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. So here we go on the having fun side. The field sports are going to be very, very important for next year. What we're looking at is a lot of your football players, baseball players are actually adding reflective names and numbers. They look really cool on the uniforms. If you could imagine sitting in the stands and watching a guy running for a touchdown up the field, and his numbers are shining all over the place. I've seen it. It's a really, really cool look. You can actually get those from stalls pre-cut out of the 3M Scotch-Rite Reflective. It's just a really neat, cool way to take your teams to the next level. And if you notice up on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got the bike rider up there, and he's actually got a really cool fashion-forward design on the back of his jersey. And one of the things we're looking at today, and I think it's going to be very important as we move in the future, is the people, they want to be fashion-forward. They want stuff to look cool. They want it to be crisp and clean. And the cool thing with the 5807 from 3M is you can actually CAD cut it, so you're going to get perfect, crisp, clean lines every time. All right, reflective safety designs. We actually have a service where you can order any of the number of logos that are down on the bottom in a 1x12 or a 2x12 strip. Very fashion-forward designs, available in silver. That's your main color that'll come from the 5807. And if you look here, this is all really cool stuff. You can add it on to cycling apparel. You can do triathletes. You can do people who run. You can do just about any kind of specialty sport, hikers, you name it. They're going to love this stuff because it does make them safe. If you look up online, there's actually a Run Safe, Ride Safe initiative that's going all across this industry that is actually talking about reflective and adding it and making sure you have this stuff to be safe. So these are things that you can add with your heat press. So selling strategies. There's a lot of emerging market that's on this. We already talked about on the field, player names and numbers. Another thing with on the field stuff is, could you imagine, and I want you to think about, you're sitting on the bleachers and you're on the opposing side and you're looking at the home team and they're across the way and all the fanware on the other side has the school logo and reflective. That whole stand over there would just shimmer. And I've seen that as well. It's just a really, really neat look. Footwear, athletic shoes. Another option is to actually be able to heat apply to shoes, which is not as difficult as most people think. There are special buttons out there that you can actually apply directly to the side of a shoe. And then pet products. People are nuts about their animals. I'm nuts about my animals. I know my parents are about their little dogs. And leashes and dog apparel, all decorated with reflective. Any of your working dogs, they also have reflective on the side of their vests that they wear. So that's another option for you, is getting in with your local kennels and your local working dog clubs and offering this as a service to customize and or decorate their stuff. Pricing strategies. This is I think one of the things a lot of people want to know about when they come to these here. Reflective is a premium product, and be prepared to charge a premium price, because the product isn't cheap. It's not your regular CAD cut material. It's out there to be retroreflective, to keep people safe. It passes all your ANSI certifications. So make sure that you're prepared to charge a premium price. The folks that need this, they're already aware that it is going to cost more. So don't be afraid to make your money on these things. Your government contracts are huge. It's a great place to go for business. It is contract-based business, and it is a bid-based process. They do want high quality, but they do get multiple bids, so be prepared to go up against some other folks. Your municipalities, this is your police, your fire, your safety. High quality, again, they want high quality. They most of the time call out the 3M reflective product because it is made here in the USA, and that's one of the big things that they always look for in your government municipalities. They're not generally as price sensitive in the municipalities as they are in the government stuff, but it is still a bid-based process, so you, again, be prepared to put your best foot forward. Now, they were going to come to your specialty sports, your hikers, bikers, runners, people who want the high-quality, fashion-forward, generally not price-sensitive. I've gone to the store and bought some running stuff myself. I'm a big guy. I want to be seen when I'm out there trying to run. I was shocked about the price of this stuff that they're getting in the specialty stores. So, again, premium product. Don't be afraid to charge that premium price. So again, thank you for attending our webinar today. The next webinar is going to be April 28th. We're going to be exploring the possibilities with Arlon Vinyl. Make sure you go to Great Garment Graphics and sign up. I want to give a special thank you to 3M and Margaret for coming on and helping us out today. And everybody have a great day. If anybody has any questions at all, you can feel free to contact us. And I'm available through the STALS website. You can look me up on there. And look forward to talking with you.